So I'll start out with the
Hey.
Asian unicorn
The town
story.
crier.
And on that note, it's November 20th, and this is the Fortean Slip News.
And now the news. In our first story from CNN.com, seems there is a rare Asian unicorn, and it was caught on camera. CNN says environmentalists in Vietnam were jubilant, I have no idea, this week after remote cameras in a forest reserve snapped pictures of a live salola, one of the rarest large mammals on
One of the
Earth.
fucking unicorns.
Yes, so Asian unicorn.
Matt, if we cut off their horns, they'll make our dicks hard.
Rare Asian unicorns, not to be confused with the unrare United States version.
Yes.
Which
At
is,
most, a few. Go
we
ahead,
have
Chris.
antelopes in the United States.
At most, a few hundred, and as few as a couple dozen of the animals are thought to exist. Because of the rarity and its elusiveness, the Saola is dubbed the Asian unicorn.
Oh.
Yes, that moniker comes despite the fact it has two closely spaced parallel horns. These are the most important wild animal photographs taken in Asia and perhaps the world in at least the past decade, said William, some sort of weird last name guy, coordinator of the
Godzilla photos were pretty important.
Coordinator of the Saola Working Group of the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Species Survival Commission in a World Wildlife Fund press release. This is an historic moment in Vietnam's efforts to protect our extraordinary biodiversity, Dang Din Nguyen, deputy head of the county's Quang Nam Forest Protection Department, said in the release.
That Dang Din Nugent.
Ted
You
Nugent?
think Vietnam's just looking for something else to be known for?
Besides
The,
horrible
picture-
dictators?
The picture of the animal was taken in September in a reserve in the central
September?
Annamite Mountains and announced
Where
by
is
the
September?
WWF on Tuesday. Van Ngoc Tin, WWF Vietnam's country director, called the picture a breathtaking discovery. When our team first looked at the photos, we couldn't believe our eyes. Saola are the holy grail for Southeast Asian conservative.
So in Vietnamese tradition, they gouged them out with spoons.
The Saola, which is a relative of cattle but looks like an antelope, was first discovered in 1992 in forests along the Vietnam-Laos border. A WWF survey team found a skull of the animal in a hunter's home in Vietnam. A Saola was last seen in the wild in 1998. In Laos, a remote camera snapped a picture of one in the wild in 1999. And in 2010, Laotian villagers captured a Saola that died before word got to researchers. There are no Saola in captivity.
Yeah, it died. It was barbecued before they called anybody.
Environmentalists said Wednesday the pictures show that efforts to save the Saola are working. Saola are caught in wire snares set by humans to catch other animals, such as deer and civets. I'm not sure what a civet is, which are largely destined for the lucrative illegal wildlife trade. Van said in the WWF release, since 2011, Forest Guard patrols have removed more than 30,000 snares from the critical Saola habitat and destroyed more than 600 illegal hunters' camps.
Every time he says WWF, Matt, I just think back and the Hulk Hogan and his crew from that cartoon.
Oh yeah!
And just take care of the fucking thing.
Bonesaw is ready.
I believe that
Warrior
WWF,
says.
WWF now refers to World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah, that's why they had to change it to WWE, actually.
And in
the
our-
civet, for the record, is a small nocturnal animal. It looks like a cat.
And in our next story, from the very reputable dailymail.co.uk,
Much more so than CNN.
Right. Humans do not come from Earth, and sunburn, bad backs, and pain during labor prove it, an expert claims.
Also, toenails, hair, skin.
A U.S. ecologist says conditions such as bad backs and sunburns suggest humans did not evolve alongside other life on Earth. In a new book, Dr. Ellis Silver says aliens put humans on our planet as recently as tens of thousands of years ago. He suggests the Earth might have been a prison planet, since humans seem to be naturally violent species and are here until we learn to behave ourselves. A U.S.
A giant ball of timeout.
Bad human, no donut.
Dr. Ellis Silver points to a number of psychological features to make his case for why humans did not evolve alongside other life on Earth in his new book. They range from humans suffering from bad backs, which he suggests is because we evolved in a world with lower gravity, to getting too easily sunburned and having difficulty giving birth. Dr. Ellis says that while the planet meets humans' needs for the most part, it does not perhaps serve the species' interests as well as the aliens who dropped us off had imagined. In his book, Humans Are Not From Earth, a scientific evaluation of the evidence, the ecologist writes, the human race has defects that mark it being not of this world.
Never mind.
Mankind is supposedly
we, match everything else here genetically. Just saying.
Mankind is supposedly the most highly developed species on the planet, yet it is surprisingly unsuited and ill-equipped for Earth's environment. Harmed by sunlight, a strong dislike for naturally occurring foods, ridiculously high rates of chronic disease, and more, he told Yahoo. Dr. Ellis says that
off the internet porn.
Dr. Ellis says that humans might suffer from bad backs because they evolved in a world with lower gravity. He also said that it is strange that babies' heads are so large and can make it difficult for women to give birth, which can result in fatalities of the mother and the infant. No other native species on this planet has this problem, he says. He also believes humans are not designed to be as exposed to the sun as they are on Earth, as they cannot sunbathe for more than a week or two. Unlike a lizard,
unlike the lizard race,
and cannot be exposed to the sun every day without problems. Dr. Ellis also claims humans are always ill, and this might be because our body clocks have evolved to expect a 25-hour day, as proven by sleep researchers. Interesting.
Wow. Seriously? I could spend an hour just arguing with that guy.
Matt, you could spend an hour arguing with anybody.
Including myself.
That's right.
No, it's not.
See?
And our next story from Wired.com. A neuroscientist's radical theory of how networks became conscious. It's a question that's perplexed philosophers for centuries and scientists for decades.
Good morning.
Where does consciousness come from? We know it exists, at least in ourselves, but how it arises from chemistry and electricity in our brains is an unsolved mystery. Neuroscientist Christoph Koch, chief scientific officer at the Allen Institute for Brain Science, thinks he might know the answer. According to Koch, consciousness arises within any sufficiently complex information processing system. All animals, from humans on down to earthworms, are conscious. Even the internet could be. That's just the way the universe works. The electric charge in an electron doesn't arise out of more elemental properties. It simply has a charge, says Koch. Likewise, I argue that we all live in a universe of space, time, mass, energy, and consciousness arising out of complex systems. What Koch proposes is a scientifically refined version of an ancient philosophical doctrine called Panophysicism. And coming from someone else, it might sound more like spirituality than science, but Koch has devoted the last 3 decades to studying the neurological basis of consciousness.
And to me, it sounds like bullshit.
His work at the Allen Institute now puts him at the forefront of the Brain Initiative.
Is he one of those people that worships the game Pong?
The massive new effort to understand how brains work, which will begin next year.
Led by Melba Ketchum.
Koch's insights have been detailed in dozens of scientific articles and a series of books, including last year's Consciousness, Confessions of a Romantic Reductionist. Sounds like an exciting read.
Number 3 on the New York's bestsellers list.
And in our final story, this is from Pittsburgh and KDKA in Pittsburgh. Great station. It's about a new Bigfoot movie coming out. Yes. Fuzzy monster from the Stone Age, or just a clumsy guy in a cheap gorilla suit. Either way, the legend of Bigfoot lives on. That's especially true in Elwood City, Pennsylvania.
That's a really long title.
That's especially true in Elwood City,
Elderly
Pennsylvania,
Bigfoot
where a camera
behind the counter in a small town.
where a camera crew is shooting scenes for Bigfoot the movie. Director Jared Show says Beaver Falls native Joanne Dodd and Nate McGill of Elwood City play the roles of lovers riding quads through the woods on their first date. We thought quads would be fun, the director says, so we're going to put some cheesy music in the background and play it up, the fun of it. The shaggy star of the film has already wrapped up shooting. Director Show lays out the plot. Bigfoot coming to the small town of Elwood City, and these 3 rednecks trying to hunt him down and take him out, he says. It's a comedy horror movie. Nate's character bears the wounds of a recent bar fight, but he's after bigger game.
Didn't the same movie just take place in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Our friend gets killed by Bigfoot, and we're going for revenge, he explains. Does Joanne's character...
That's the story they forgot to tell the cops. Bigfoot shot the guy.
This is what happens after Natalie Portman gives birth to the baby in Walmart.
Does Joanne's character make it to the final credits? I do not die in the movie, but I get to kill people, she says with a laugh. Cast and crew hope Bigfoot the movie will be out in time for next Halloween. And that is the news, fellas.
Wow.
That sounds like the worst movie ever. I'm sorry. And it's not far from me. I should go down there and watch the filming.
I don't think it's going to make it past Kickstarter.
No.
No. And
when is the last Bigfoot anything that's made it past Kickstarter?
Neither are we. That was the news.
God almighty.